Hey guys, happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Back at you today with my Losi 8T. Today we're going to do something I've been wanting to do for a while. If you recall, if you saw my unboxing video of this, I talked about removing the pull start and putting a back plate on this so I could use it with a starter box, a bump box. Also gets a little more performance out of the engine because you're eliminating some spinning parts and some weight to the engine. So enough said about that, guys. Let's go ahead and get some tools out, get this engine out, and let's see how all that gets done. Alright guys, got our body off. We're going to have to remove a bunch of parts before we can get this engine out, but before we get started, a couple of parts that you need to do this. First of all, you're going to need this engine mount kit. This is the TRL 241017 engine mount kit. We'll have to remove the old mounts because they don't have enough depth for the flywheel to stick through to engage your bump box. And then you'll need the pull start eliminator kit or back plate from Dynamite. This is the DYNE 1506. Alright, first thing we're going to do is get this air filter off this engine. So we got a little clip here. Take off. And then we're going to pull off this tube here that goes to the, and there's a little strap that's holding it on. We're going to have to cut that off. So just be very careful. Little strap coming off of there. Just a little tie wrap. Now we can pull that off like so. That out of the way. Next thing I want to show you is something that's very important. I don't know if you can see down in here. It's hard to see. Let me get some light. And this is very critical when you can see those engine mounts down there. I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but right here's your engine mount, this silver piece. You can see the two mounting holes down here which secure it to the chassis. Now the problem is they didn't give you any marks on this chassis how to get this lined up straight. So when you're putting this back in, and you can see your spur and pinion mesh there, it's critical that that is straight. These new engine mounts, I think are, I don't know if these are wider or not, but I may take a pencil and just mark a straight line along this old one, so I sort of know where that was. I don't know if that's going to help me or not, but it's critical that we get this straight so that when we mesh this gear back up, that it's straight, that it's not at an angle. So just wanted to say something about that quick. So maybe I'll grab a pencil and mark that. I don't know if it's going to help me or not, but we'll take a look at that and see. Alright guys, you can see the engine mount right here. I'm just going to take my pencil and just draw a line along that. Just so I know where it was. And I know that is completely straight. That'll at least give me a point of reference. I don't know if you can see that, but got a nice line there. Alright, now we'll go ahead and get this pipe removed so then we can get our engine off the chassis. Alright, just going to take my needle nose pliers here. Just pull that off. Here's your spring. Put that to the side. And then this will pop off once we get this pipe loosened up here. Okay, you really don't need to pull this off unless you want to disconnect this manifold piece from the pipe. So that just kind of pops off of there. You can kind of push this out of the way. Next thing we're going to need to do is remove this fuel line right here from the carburetor. Alright, that's out of there. Now we can kind of just gonna move that out of the way. Alright, the last thing we got to disconnect from the engine would be the throttle. Your throttle right here. So there's a little screw here, 1.5 millimeter. Hold that on. Careful not to lose that little grub screw. And then this piece just kind of pulls off like so. There you go. All loose and clear. Alright, so the only thing we have left is our engine mounts. So we're going to go ahead and flip this around. You can see here's your flywheel. You can see from these old engine mounts, look, this doesn't even come close. It's too deep in there to engage with a bump box. So here's our 4 mounts right here. Let's just see what those are. I think they're probably 2 millimeter. Nope. Man, guys, I tell you, these are really tight. These really got a crack to get. My goodness. Ah, hear that? Snap. Wow, these are really tight. Crazy. I mean, you want them to be tight, and they were tight. You gotta like that from the factory. Wow. There you can kind of see how this hole is slotted here, so you can move this. So you can move that motor engine. I'm just going to put my hand under here so this doesn't fall. Well, it's actually supported, so let's get these out. Alright, once those 4 screws are out, then your motor just slides out of there, your engine. Alright, now that we've got our engine removed, we can go ahead and remove this pull start. So we'll just turn this around a little bit. You can just see here's your clutch bell right here. Your clutch, here's your flywheel, and here's your pinion. So these motor mounts will be coming off, but before we do that, let's go ahead and get this off. Let's see what we got here. These are 2mm screws. I'm going to go ahead and take those out. Four screws are loose. Just go ahead and pull this off. There's your pull starter. Now right here, this is your one-way bearing. That's how the pull starter works. It pulls one, it turns freely one direction. This direction, when you pull, it grips and it would turn your crankshaft. So we're going to go ahead and pull that off. Then you can see we have a 4 screws holding this plate on. We're going to remove those 4 screws. Let's see, we have, those are 2mm as well. And one more. Alright, we got our 4 screws removed. So then this plate, here I pop off of there with a little seal. And then this just pulls out. That's a lot of weight. This spins all the time. This spins all the time when your engine is running. That one-way bearing lets it spin. So you're using engine power to move this. You're robbing from your power, so this will be a nice pickup. This weighs more than I thought it did. Big block of aluminum is basically what it is. So you can see the back of this. That pin engages, there's a pin that engages in that slot. Now that pin is in the crank. I don't know if you can see that or not. There's a little pin sticking in that crankshaft. That comes out of there. I don't know if you can see that, but this little pin, see if I can get in there closer for you guys. Here's your crankshaft right here. This pin comes out. Now, inside that pin, where that pin goes in that hole in the crank, there's a little spring in there. That spring is used to keep that thing tight into that slot. So we got to get that spring out of there. You cannot leave that spring in there. You can use a small pick, a magnet if you have that. I used to have a magnet here, I don't see it, or a very tiny screwdriver. You could turn it upside down, might come out. Mine's not coming out, so I'm going to grab a little tiny screwdriver and see if I can get that out of there. Here it comes. I don't know if you guys can see that. You guys see that or not? That spring, there it is. Whenever you do, make sure you do not forget to get that spring out of there. I'm going to go ahead and stop with part 1 right here. In part 2, we're going to go ahead and I'm going to show you how to, while this engine is apart, how to get things lubed up on the inside. We're going to put our back plate on. We're going to change the engine mounts to the new engine mounts, and we're going to get everything installed back in the chassis, everything lined up correctly, guys. So watch for that video. I'll have it up soon, and I will see you then. Thanks for watching, and so long.